Hey there, Bruce, and welcome back to Game of Fortune. It is the middle of, well, the beginning of, should I say, the final round for this run-through. We are dead now. We are playing as Richard because I believe this is going to be Richard's. I think we've confirmed this is Richard's ending. Clyde is gone. Now we're Richard. Let's carry on. Well, at least for an explosion, you didn't make a mess of his body. It's kind of like you just blasted the life out of him. It'd be bad if I got blood, guts, and gore all over the room, wouldn't it? That didn't stop you in the last game we played. Different games need different aesthetics. Let me just clean up his body real quick. Belle walked over to Clyde's charred corpse and laid her hands on it. Instantly it began to burn with bright blue flames, leaving nothing but ash. And then the ash eventually burned away. If it wasn't a body, I might have thought it was beautiful, but it was just sad. Alright, now that we've gotten that taken care of, let's get back to the game. Richard, you're up next again. Right. I walked back over to the board and sat down. This should be easy. I already know a few safe spots. Clyde was hovering his hand around A2 and C1. He didn't look certain. Probably thinks they're either duds or death balls. Alphonse was avoiding A2. He might not have shown it much, but I could tell he was anxious about picking that one. He probably hit that dud, trying to place a death ball as well. William, I don't think he actually knows where any duds or death balls are aside from his own. In that case, the best thing to do would be to pick A2. This one. Yep, just as I thought. Another dud. Frustration, annoyance. He wanted to pick that spot. I was right, he must have hit that dud when trying to place his own ball at some point. Took my move, kid. Sorry, just doing what I figured was the best move. Especially since he would have picked it himself. Probably because I already told him where my death ball was. He didn't have a reason not to pick A2 at that point. Well, I guess I'll just have to improvise. Maybe I'll get lucky. Alphonse took his seat and glared at the board intensely. Watch him. See where he looks and where he doesn't. Eyes are on that 2 column. Uncertainty, fear, anxiety. He's wondering if he should pick the last cup in the 2nd column. That means he didn't place that one there. Now his eyes are scanning across the C row. He's looking at them with all the same amount of confusion and fear. He probably didn't place one on that row either. I turned my head to see William's reactions. He was glaring at the board just as intensely. His emotions are the same, tense, stiff, anxious. Neither of them know for sure whether the C row is safe or not. They don't know that they don't know its state. Or maybe they know some amount, but it can't be certain. Clyde never disclosed where he put his death ball after all. Ah, fuck it. Looks like he's found the courage to make a move and he's reaching for A3. Whew. Relief. Obvious relief, all things considered. Shit, now this is getting intense. Alright, my turn. Just gotta avoid the death ball. He's anxious too, we all are, but he seems doubly so. He was hoping that someone else would be dead by his turn. How many valid balls are left on the board? Well, there's only been 1 death ball taken off the board. And there's 10 cups left, so do the math. 10 balls minus 3 death balls means there's 7 valid spots left. Yeah, that's about right. Though, if we go at this pace, each one of us picking perfectly, you'll end up the winner. Really? He's right, there's only 7 valid spots left. If we all pick perfectly, eventually Alphonse and I would have to pick the last death balls. Oh, okay, then I just have to play perfectly and then I'll win. A surge of confidence. Suddenly he thinks that he has it in the bag, or at least sees a clear victory path. Then what to pick? His hand glides over the cups, but he's avoiding the 1 column. Does he think there's a death ball there? He has to. There's apprehension. He's shaking. The A1 cup? Focus, he's trying to push away his anxiety. Now he's shaking the C2 cup. Hope? Glee? He feels positive, certain, though I can't tell if this is just some placebo he's put in his head or if he can actually hear or feel the difference in the balls. This one should be safe. Yes! William pumped his fist with delight as he popped off the chair. Hell yeah! I'm on a fucking roll, baby! Be careful, William. Pride comes before the fall. What does that mean? He's saying that when you're doing great is right before you fuck up and lose it all. No, I got this. I totally got this. He was quick to fill himself with that false, fleeting pride. Oh, well, I suppose it's fine to let him indulge in it for a moment. I'm up next. Good luck. I'm at a disadvantage. Alphonse and William still know where their death balls are. It's a small advantage, but it's one that might be the difference between winning and losing. Not knowing where Clyde's death ball is messes things up pretty well. Though I can remedy this problem slightly. I just have to be subtle, careful, look for a reaction that'll tell me where one of the death balls are. I do that and I might be able to survive this round at least. Be slow, methodical. Let them see you ponder over each decision as if your life depended on it. Then glance just for a moment as you become deliberate. That's when they'll show you the truth in their eyes. But I can only see one of them at a time. Who to watch? I looked over to Alphonse for just a moment. And his eyes are closed. Is he just thinking to himself right now? Well, it's no use then. I'll keep an eye on William. Alright, slow and steady. Let's start from the top left and work our way down. A1. That was fast. He was excited, gleeful. So it might be good to test this out with some other reactions he gives. Let's try the other cups. I moved my hand carefully but deliberately across the board and just glanced to the side to see how William was reacting. Disappointment, annoyance, frustration. He's definitely upset I didn't take the A1 cup. Then is that where he put the death ball? Now, very William to pick the first row in the first column. Alright, that's a good start. Even if I don't know where Clyde put his death ball, or Alphonse for that matter, it's one less landmine to worry about. So then, I moved my hand over to the B1 cup. Relief. I let out a soft sigh and stood up from the table. Your move, Alphonse. Yeah. Christ, this ain't getting any better. He plopped himself down in the seat and then glared at the board once more. Not many options left. With each success, his own odds get worse. Though that's the same for all of us. The question is, who's going to get the short end of the stick? Well, I guess I'll go for this one then. He didn't wait much time this time around. His hand simply clutched a cup and... Fuck. And there we have it. Another death ball has been popped up. Well, I guess I'm still going to have to dredge my way through this shit some more. Maybe this is for the best. Maybe it is. Maybe death has more in store for you than life, Alphonse. Alphonse reached for the death ball that he just revealed and inspected it closely. Alright, send me back then. Not like I haven't died already. I love it when people take death with dignity. Makes my job a lot easier. Well, goodbye, Alphonse. Hope you enjoy Oblivion. Searing white. A flash of heat, an explosion just like last time. Should have covered my eyes. Alright, that's 2 down and 1 left to go. And we still have 7 cups left. Lots more of the game to be played. Don't make that face, William. I'm going to get rid of the body, don't worry. Just like last time, Belle walked over to Alphonse's charred corpse and burned it into nothingness. Ashes to ashes. Okay, only one more death ball to find. Who's going to get it first? Doesn't it get your blood pumping? I'm determined to win this, if that's what you're asking. Yeah, I'm not backing down either. Good, good. Finals should always be bloody slobber knockers. Though I guess this is more of a mental fist fight than a physical one. Either way, good luck. Belle stepped aside and motioned for William to step forward. 7 balls left. 2 of them are death balls. If William and I keep getting lucky, perfectly avoiding the death balls, then eventually I'll lose. But what are the odds that something like that happens? Low, right? One of us will make a mistake before then. Trying to shake cups again? The method hasn't failed me yet. William put one hand on the cup at D4 and then another on the cup at D1. After shaking them both a fair bit, he put his hands on D4 and lifted the cup off the board. Phew! Relief. Peace. He may be putting on some kind of brave face, but he wasn't sure. And is this method just an act? Some way he can muster up the courage to make a decision? I can't deny that it's working for him. Alright, you're up. Try not to break down from the pressure. I think that I'll stay stalwart in the face of impending death, especially since I have a way to at least ensure my safety for this pick. Alphonse died because he picked Clyde's death ball. After all, he knew where his own was, and Williams is at A1. He was also worried about the C row, rightfully so, at the time, since he didn't know where Clyde's ball was, or Richard's for that matter. But his own ball is on a different row, either B or D. Thus, I can be sure myself that the next 2 balls on row C are the safest. So let's go to C3 then. Just as I expected. A dud ball nonetheless too. Sheesh, how do you keep getting lucky? It's a little luck and a little bit of calculations. Hey, I just remembered you can read people's emotions. That's cheating. That's totally cheating. It's not cheating. It's using whatever abilities I have on hand to better my odds of winning. Everyone does that, William. Yeah, but you literally can look at me and figure out what I'm feeling when I pick up a cup. I bet you know where my death ball is. Maybe. How am I supposed to win against that? I shrugged. It did seem a bit unfair, but it wasn't impossible. I'm sure you can figure something out, otherwise I'd just bet on luck. William huffed as he sat down and glared at the few remaining cups. Great, now I have to figure out a way to win, knowing that you have an advantage against me. That's life, William. Most people have some kind of advantage over you. Desperation, fear, anger, anxiety, a storm of negative emotions. Some about the situation, some about himself. It's not impossible, William. We're basically working with similar information. We both know where you placed your death ball. So really all that matters is who picks Alphonse's death ball. I know that, I just need to think. It's hard to make a decision knowing that you're watching me. So can you just turn away for a moment? Headache. This feels familiar. Dangerous. Richard? Give me a moment. My head was throbbing with pain. I couldn't focus. Everything was getting blurry. I had to turn away and steady my breath just to think properly. Why now? Why did all this feel so similar, so familiar? Has something like this happened before? Then am I in danger? Is there some kind of trap being set? Richard, you look dreadful. Belle's voice chopped through the chaos and I felt my mind easing up. I'm better now. Thank you. No need to thank me. Can't be having you break down like that in the middle of a game now. Speaking of, we both turned to see William shaking the cups again. Anxiety, fear, concern, worry. Worry about getting the wrong cup? Presumably. Please, please. He had his hands on the C1 and D1 cups. One of those was definitely safe and the other was unknown. No, not this one then. Maybe... He moved his hands over the B4 cup and shook it slowly. This one. Please. He raised the cup and... William nearly collapsed onto the table from relief. Thank God. You're welcome, though I didn't do anything. Right, okay, I'm doing good. William slowly pushed himself away from the board and wiped the sweat off his brow. Your move. Your last move, mind you. Right. What's with that confidence? Suddenly it's like he's assured of himself. It's not his usual peacock presenting haughty attitude. It's not fake, he genuinely feels confident right now. As though he knows that he's won, or maybe he thinks that he's won because the odds are horribly in his favour now. I could screw up, pick Alphonse's death ball and lose. Or I could pick correctly and then William could win a 50-50 coin flip and I'd lose right there and then. I need to worry about the latter case. That one is out of my hands. But I can at least assure I don't lose right this instant. C1? I sat down and glanced at the board one last time. He's quiet, anxious, hopeful, excited. He's expecting me to lose right now. Sorry to say, William, but I'm pretty sure that I'll at least be able to assure myself one more round. C1 should be safe. I'm nearly certain of that much. I moved my hand over to C1. What? Why is he getting excited? No, it's not just excitement, it's joy, glee, happiness, confidence. Confidence? He's confident that C1 is the wrong cup? What's going on? I hesitated. Something didn't feel right. My instincts were firing on all circuits. Take it slow. Think it through. Think it through. Think it through. Deep breaths. I pulled my hand away from the cup and looked over the board again, passing one last glance over William. He's disappointed. Severely disappointed. Then I'm onto something here. Let's take a step back. This was the turn that Alphonse was looking over the C row. I remember looking at his eyes. He wasn't certain of any of them. No information meant that he didn't know if any of the balls on that row were duds, and he didn't place his own death ball on that row. My death ball was already picked at D2. Williams is at A1, and Clyde's was at C4. The logic states that if Alphonse didn't put his death ball on the C row, then the rest of the balls on that row must be safe. By that logic, C1 should be safe, and yet... William seems confident to a dangerous degree that if I pick that cup I'll lose. That would mean that his own death ball was underneath that cup. But I saw his reactions before. He showed that same excitement and confidence when my hand was over A1. Then should I trust my earlier logic, or should I try and follow this oddity to its conclusion? After all, it might just be a flaw. Maybe I'm reading him wrong. Maybe something is wrong with me, or maybe he's putting on the act because he knows we can read emotions. Believe in the logic I presented to you, or trust in your abilities and deny the logic. That's right, I've been fooled once already. I need to trust my instincts. They won't lead me astray. That's what he taught me after all. I just have to take a moment to assure myself. Let's work our way backwards. William must know the C1 cup has a death ball underneath it. That's why he got excited when I almost picked it up. But how would he know where a death ball is? It's not like he knows where Alphonse's death ball is. The answer must be that... I better save. He hit it when trying to place his own death ball. But he went... Didn't he go first? Or did he go last? No, he went first. So it can't be that one. It's his own death ball. That's most likely. It is his own death ball? There has to be it. William can only be confident in one thing, and that's the location of his own death ball. He showed that excitement and confidence whenever I put my hand over a cup that is a death ball, whether it's A1 or C1. But then that raises another question. How did the death ball move from A1 to C1? The answer is probably... But it's got the letters on it. He can't because he moves them around. They said that was okay. I didn't know that means you can take them outside of the square. He swapped the cup locations then. He cup and balled the fucking thing. Which is why it's a cup and ball, I guess. Maybe just swap the cup locations. It's a rather simple answer. If William moved the cups around, then he'd be able to know, and he rattles the fucking things, able to know where the own death ball is while manipulating the board. And there was an opportunity for it while I was suffering from my headache. I wasn't watching William or the board, plus he did ask me to look away. This seems feasible, especially since C1 and A1 have a clear line to one another, so you could easily swap them around quickly. B3 is another option, but it's a bit far, and swapping A1 with D1 would require him to mess with or tamper with C1 in the process, so now there's only one question left to answer. How did William know this is a valid move? I doubt the Bell would kindly take to rampant rule breaking. There must have been some way he was able to ensure this idea would go off without a hitch. You figured it out when he shook the cups? Yeah, that's what I would assume. I'm running out of save spots. Was it when he was shaking the cups? That might have given the idea that the cups were movable. Technically, Bell hasn't forbidden us from being able to move the cups. The positions were only used so that we'd have an idea as to where our death balls were placed. After that, any movement was probably fair game. William demonstrated that over and over again, though chances are that if you lift a cup, it'll probably count as your turn. Bell even said that it was fine to move the cups around herself. Nothing stops you from moving cups around or switching their positions. William must have focused on that. And thus, he knowingly moved his death ball from A1 to C1. The best way to test it would be try to move a cup around myself. I grabbed the cup on D1 and... yeah, definitely movable. Alright, I'm pretty sure that I'm right. The safe option should be then A1. Even though it's scary, I know that it's the right answer. I took a silent breath and moved my hand over to A1. Panic, fear, confusion. I've got this. This is it. The ball underneath this cup will be blue or gold. Blue or gold. Be strong, be strong, be strong. This is right. So. I did it. I was right. How did you know that was safe? Shouldn't you have known? Shouldn't you have thought that spot was dangerous? That's where I put my death ball. How'd you know I swapped it? That's not possible. You weren't looking. There's no way you could have known. I carefully stood up, still shaking with dread. Well, like, it doesn't matter. I'll win here. I just have to pick the one spot that doesn't have a death ball. That's all I have to do. I can do it. I can do it. Desperation, anger, frustration, self-pity. William, it's not the end of the world if you don't win this time around. Everyone loses eventually. In fact, we all have up to this point. You're no better or worse for winning a little later, you know. No one's thinking less of you based on how you do now. You wouldn't get it. No one respects me. No one. They all look down on me. Don't you think that's because of your own attitude? You're always trying to make yourself grander than you have to be. It turns people off, makes you seem haughty and arrogant. I'd call it a superiority complex, but I don't want to jump to conclusions. It's not a complex. I have to make myself great. I have to. If not me, then who else will be my cheerleader? No one else will be. What about Elizabeth? Regret, fear, shame. Are you worried that you're going to let her down? Stop reading my emotions or whatever. I'm revoking your right to look at them. Just leave me alone. I'm not letting anyone down. I'm just doing what's best for me. That's what everyone does, right? I'll prove myself worthy. You'll see. You'll see. Right here, I'm going to pick the right cup. I'm going to win right here. Oh, you're fucked, son. Right here. Right now. Just one of these two cups. D1 or B3. I pick the right one. I win. I'll win. I'll win. I'll win, and then people will know I wasn't last. I wasn't a failure. William, please calm down. It's not... Shut up. I'm going to win right here and now. It's this one. Of course. William slammed the cup back down on the table. William, I don't think... In a flash, he gripped the underside of the table and flipped it, making a complete mess out of the room. Whoops, looked like the table got ruined. Guess we'll never know what kind of ball I poked. We should start over, right, Belle? Oh, no need for that. I saw plain and clear what happened. You picked a death ball. No, I didn't. You didn't see. William, I can count the number of steps you made with your left foot since the game began. I know what you picked. Don't try to play me for a fool. Belle snapped her fingers and the table fixed itself back up, with the cup that William chose rising off the table to show the death ball he picked. Anger, disappointment, failure. William, like I said earlier, it's not the end of the world. It was just a stroke of bad luck. It happens to everyone. It probably happened to me a number of times too. Will you just shut up? You don't get it. I don't care if it was just luck. I don't care if it was just a stupid coin flip. What the fuck is it whenever I try something it never works? Everyone else is using their skills, their smarts, their strengths. And they get far, they win, they manage to make dough. Why the hell am I the one that's not making it far enough? I'm doing everything I can. I'm using the skills that I've got. Fine, maybe they're not the best. Maybe they're rusty, but damn it, it's all I've got. Is that not even good enough? How far do I have to fucking go to just prove that I'm good enough? How many more loops am I going to have to be reminded that I'm nothing but a pathetic loser? I just can't take it anymore. Why? Why can't I do anything right? His heart had burst. Too much emotion for him to handle, especially his eyes. Tears rolled down, snot fell out of his nose. Crying is seldom a beautiful thing as portrayed in movies, television or art. It is ugly. The face crinkles, fluids flow, much like our emotions. The face just can't hold it together. But that's what makes it all the more human, isn't it? Even if it doesn't look pretty, that disgusting display that comes from crying. We all know what it feels like. Worthless, failure, frustration, pathetic, extreme self-pity. Well, I might have a moment with William before you do what you have to. Might I? What is it with you people thinking you deserve these emotional moments before death? Belle's right, just kill me now. It doesn't matter anymore. At least I'll forget this failure too. Please? Fine, fine. Just make it snappy. Thank you. I moved over to William, who'd curled himself up in a ball, turning his head away and trying to avoid making eye contact with me. That was fine. I didn't need to look at him to know how he was feeling. And more importantly, I just needed him to listen. William, you really need to stop putting your self-worth on your abilities and whether they stack up to others. It's not healthy to compare yourself to others. We're all unique. We've all got strengths and weaknesses that make us special. What a bland-ass response. That's the kind of thing people say on kids' shows. I'm immature, but I'm not that immature. But you seem to think you can't do anything right. That you're weak, that you're helpless, that you're a failure. Because I am. I know a guy who thought that, and he was nothing but a failure once. He dropped out of college because of a game addiction. Didn't feel like doing anything, just felt empty. But he found his way, though I will admit it took quite a bit of reassurance and reflection. Maybe you could learn a thing from him. What's the use? What could I possibly learn? Have you always felt that you were less than others? Not always, but it creeps up on you. You start to notice how you're different. How you're struggling when everyone else seems to be doing fine. Then you try to catch up. You put 10 times the work, but it's still hard. It's still difficult. Everyone starts making fun of you. They call you names. They like seeing you fail. And you get scared. Why bother trying when you get mocked for failing? When your best effort is just the standard for everyone else. Then you start sticking up for yourself. You start pretending you're hot shit. Then everyone says you're haughty and an arsehole. There's no winning, so I might as well be my own supporter, right? If they're going to mock me, I might as well believe in myself. But even now, I can't believe it. I can't believe that I'm any good. I'm no good. There's so much I want to say, so much I want to tear down argument by argument, destroying the bastion of self-pity until all that's left is an honest soul in there. But I can feel Belle's gaze on us, and her string-like patience becoming atomically thin by the second. Keep it simple, succinct. I believe in you, William. You said earlier you were here to save your father, right? Think about the strength and fortitude that it takes to do that. I think most people would have broken down and given up, much less boldly marched through these games trying to save their father with such zeal. Take heart in knowing that you have the drive to do what you think will save your family. It's not the right reaction. I thought he might be comforted by that. Was I wrong? Dad, Elizabeth, Damn it. Damn it. He's keeping his eyes closed. I can't get a good read on him. What's got him bothered so much? William, you can open up to me. Nope, you've had your time to put your words in. Now we move on. Belle snapped her fingers and a white death ball appeared in her hands. Here, you want a piece, William? Here's your piece right here. He shoved the ball into William's chest. Richard, I made a mistake. I just wanted respect. I just wanted people to look at me, but what? But this, everything that I'm doing is just... The flash was great, but I could still see the desperation in his eyes. The sorrow, the shame, the fear, the frustration all mixed in a moment of realization. Though I can't know what he was thinking. Only that just before his death, he knew something. Came to some epiphany. And then, gone. Finally, that was going on way longer than it had to. Don't look at me with those angry eyes. Do you really think that a simple pep talk from you would be able to solve all his issues? People are very complex. You can't just steer them to change with a single speech. You don't know that. He was having a realization about himself. Well, I'm just a god that sees peaks and valleys for humans and for numerous years, but you're right, what do I know? Oh, but you'd know all about feelings, wouldn't you? I like to think I'm more in tune with them than most. Of course, because of him. Him? What are you implying? Intrigued? Why not discuss it over a cup of tea? After all, you're our winner, Richard. It's time for you to take your victory to heart. Congrats on surviving and winning Pop-Off. So what happens now? What happens is you go through this glowing door I've prepared for you. After that, well, we'll get down to business. See you soon. She disappeared in a cloud of blue smoke, not even bothering to clean up William's corpse. Alas, dead eyes don't give any insights. Good luck, William. Hopefully you can carry this epiphany with you in the future. One last parting message to no one but myself. And after that, well, the only way to go now is forward. I walked through the glowing door and everything went white. I can feel it. A warm sunlight on my skin, a soft wind blowing just gently, playing with my hair, brushing against my face, the grass. When did I end up laying down? It's like a soft bed, a tickling bed. My face and skin. It's like it's trying to wake me up. I let out a sigh and slowly opened my eyes. What an odd place, so serene, so peaceful, especially compared to every other mockery of reality we've been to. But this place feels right. Hey there, Richard. Get up off the grass and come on over. Well, no reason to say no. I got off the ground and walked over to Belle, taking a seat across from her. She gingerly poured what I assume was some kind of tea into a cup in front of me. No need to be shy. I promise that you'll love it. I anxiously stared at the amber liquid before cautiously taking a sip of tea. Surprised? I knew you'd like it. It's really good. Sweet, but not too sweet. Fruity, like blueberries? Maybe some kind of honey? But it has a bitter aftertaste that makes the sip right afterwards taste even better. How'd you make something like this? You could say it's a little bit of magic. Though, I just know how to brew the perfect blend for the people that come around here. I try to be a good host, after all. A good host, huh? A splendid host, even. Most people that leave here do so satisfied to some degree. I highly doubt that. And yet they keep coming, so I clearly must be doing something right. I think it's the tea. Might be the wishes. Or it's, the wishes. That helps, I'm sure, but wouldn't you come visit me again after our time here is done? With all due respect, probably not. Or how cruel. You're not quite the splitting image of your father. He was much more polite and much happier seeing me. Dad, right. I nearly pushed the thought of his disappointment out of my head, but here it is again. Worried about your dear old father, what your dear old father's going to think. I know he'll be upset. I can't change that. But I have to do what I have to do. Well, there's no need to rush right into business. We're having a tender moment right now, just you and I. No distractions. Are there any burning questions you want answered? I promise that I'll give you an honest answer. Within my ability, of course. Well, since I'm here, I might as well ask, how do souls work? I assume you work with souls to some degree since your wishes can revolve around death and life. Oh, an interesting question. Let me try to explain it in a way that you'll understand best. Pay attention. You're getting info from the god that understands souls like no other. Souls are like milk. Milk? Or water, cola, beer, tea, wine. A tiny little fluid droplet. That's a soul. And fluids, well, they don't have a form themselves, they sort of shape themselves into whatever container you put them in. Beautiful, really. So our souls are like a droplet of milk. Exactly. Now imagine a bowl, a huge bowl. A bowl with an infinite size holding an infinite amount of milk. There can't be some infinite sized bowl. Why not? The universe is infinite, never expanding, yet it must have something that can be expanded into, right? Think of this bowl as the same thing. An infinitely growing bowl, and the milk, well, it's not quite souls, it's like soul stuff. Soul stuff? Think of the ocean. Big, fast, full of water, right? Now imagine that you took an eyedropper and sucked up a small amount of water from the ocean. That's your soul. Just replace the seawater with soul stuff. Our souls are tiny fragments of this infinite well of soul matter. Belle eagerly nodded, seeming proud that I was on page with her so far. You take that soul stuff, you put it in a body, and bang, you've got, well, you. Though it's a bit more complicated than that in reality. Souls are so picky, they want a specific type of body. Brains, they're so specific. But when you have infinite material to work with, well, eventually every body will have a soul happy to worm its way into it. What happens when the body dies? The same process, but in reverse. The soul leaves the body and goes back to the infinite bowl of milk. Like sucking out a bit of seawater out of a container and putting it back in the ocean. Then it melds back into oblivion. A soul, like soup, where it exists as a part of something greater. It's kind of awe-inspiring and scary. Does the thought of losing your identity to be melded into the deep infinite sea of souls scare you on an existential level? I mean, sort of. Don't fret, it's not so bad, though you'd never know. Know it, I guess. A soul by itself can't possibly comprehend what it's like to be part of such a great entity like a soul soup. But then how do you bring back someone from the dead? I'm glad you asked. That's what separates me from my siblings, or at least one of the ways. I have an amazing talent to be able to pull every little piece that makes a person's soul from that great infinite ocean of soul matter. You can do that? I can, though to you it must seem impossible. It'd be like trying to get the exact water molecules of a raindrop that fell on the ocean after 10 million years. Seemingly impossible, but for me it's child's play, though I'll admit that I'm not the only one of my siblings that can do it. But even after you put the soul back together, well, you need to convince it to return to the land of the living. And I'm very convincing. You have to convince them? Indeed, my usual method is singing to them. Singing. You sing to souls to make them come back. Sometimes I dance, recite poetry, remind them of their goals, dreams, aspirations in life. Many of them are giddy, excited, all too eager to return back to the realm of the living. Some need a bit more convincing, they're tired. Perhaps they don't think there's much left for them back in the mortal realm. And others, well, they don't want to return. For them, though, I drag them back by force, because I have a duty to grant wishes in a fair and just manner. After that, you just got to give them a nice body to fit into. Now that really is terrifying. Perhaps so, but I take my duties very seriously. And of course, I can do this process in reverse, rending a soul out of a living being, dunk it back into the soul soup. I've already done it today, if you believe it. Well, at a loss for words, just think of me as a very accurate eyedropper. That explains death and life, but what about immortality? That one's fun too. Ever heard of mind over matter? Think of soul over matter. Just give a soul a bit of godly fortitude and, well, it just keeps the soul in a state where it can't leave. It will shift, change and alter the physical realm around it so that it can stay there forever. Or at least until I take it away. A deathless decay. Deathless decay? Oh, you don't need to worry about that, Richard. Just a saying is all. So how's that? Did I nail all your questions? I feel more baffled than I thought I would end up being, that's for sure. A soul ocean? An infinitely sized bowl holding it all? A god that can pluck out all the pieces and make a soul, singing to bring them back to life? Interesting. I'm very interesting indeed. I wonder, what does a god feel? I looked Belle square in the eyes and she met me back with an unblinking gaze. Nothing. 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 Does she feel nothing? She simply winked at me before taking a sip of her own tea. That's a dangerous move there, Richard. You really sure you want to know what a god feels? It might drive you mad. It might be too much for your poor mind to comprehend, too vast for your soul to accept. But I appreciate the attempt. It means a lot to know that you're interested in the inner workings of my mind. Are you saying you blocked it? Of course, your precious ability. It doesn't work on us gods. For your own safety, of course. My brother made sure of that. Your brother? Indeed. Your gift. It was a gift. Given to you by my older brother, after all. Such a generous sort, always concerned with the feelings of others, though maybe you should ask your father a bit more about it than me. I'm not in the business of disclosing personal secrets. I had a feeling. Good, good. Well, now that we've sated your curiosity, should we get down to business? Yeah, let's get to it. You seem to be well acquainted with my various wishes, but for the sake of ensuring that you're fully aware, you can wish for someone to die, someone to be brought back to life, someone to grant someone immortality, or take it away from them. Got it. Well, let's not mince words here. I want Cole Garrett to die. Oh, no hesitation on that one. Well, wish it and so it shall be. Belle raised a finger in the air, waggling it, and then tapped on the 4-leaf clover that was on the table. It glowed a bright white, withered as though it were dying from blight, but eventually it recovered back to its green state. Is it done? It is done. He's dead. Lifeless. A hollow, empty husk. She gingerly took another sip of her tea, looking awfully pleased with herself. Then it's done. There's no going back. Why the worry? You know there will be consequences. I know. Then why worry? Fear is only useful in anticipation of pain. If you know it's coming, there's no need to be afraid of it. It's not my pain I'm worried for. It's my dad's. Well, time will tell how things end. For now, why not rest? My entire body felt heavy. An intense fatigue overtook my body. What is... Shh, don't worry. It's just your time. Sleep now, Richard. After all, we still have a number of trials left to go. Sleep and wake up from the dream? Is this what he meant? I didn't have much time to think over it as the heavy exhaustion burdened my body, became too much to bear. My eyes slowly shut, my body relaxed, and I began to dream, to fade away into that black oblivion. is the infinite sea of souls. Is this the infinite sea of souls? Am I melding into it? I guess there's no way to tell after all. If it is, I'll cease to be, but at least I can rest knowing that there's one less corrupt soul in the land of the living. I can only hope that you'll be able to forgive me for this, Dad. I'm sorry. But this is for the greater good. Richard End, Canvas of the Soul. He's got a view to right... what? I missed that. History. He's got a view right to soul. I don't know what that means. But that gift at first did take a toll. Too much to see, too much to bear, a burden of which he did not care. With time the curse became a boon, emotions that he could finally attune. But on a painful, fateful day, he saw a violent, ravenous display, a monster rampaging while others anguished. He smuggled a wish to see it vanquished. In death the monster was finally tamed, but how will it end after this game? Open eyes sees many things, joy, pain, sorrow, suffering, confusion, conflict. With such a view, it's no wonder that the young man is so ready to help and harm where applicable. He's surprisingly adept for one of his age. Maybe he'll take his lesson to heart. For now, let us simply begin again. And with that, we're going to wrap this one up here because we're out of time for this episode. And in the next one, we're going to be jumping into one of the routes we haven't done yet. In fact, I think we're switching to the entire other side of the chart. Yeah, we're going to be heading onto this side of the chart because this side is all done apart from the one that we can't do yet, which I assume is Clyde's ending, which will be the final true ending or whatever, you know. So with that, thanks for watching, Bruce, and I'll see you in the next one.